Classes of livestock. Livestock are marketed according to a system of market classes and carcass grades set up by the United States Department of Agriculture. These market classes and quality grades help producers raise animals profitably and help consumers know what they're buying. All classification systems help us organize things so we can better understand their similarities and their differences. The branch of biology that names and classifies organisms based on different characteristics is called taxonomy. Carolus Linnaeus developed a biological classification system based on the physical and structural similarities of organisms. His work formed the basis for the kingdom-based classification system. In the modern classification system, the kingdoms are grouped in domains based on evolutionary similarities. A group of organisms sharing a characteristic is called a taxon, or taxa if plural. The most specific taxon is species, and the broadest taxon is domain. Typical livestock all fall into the domain Eukarya, kingdom Animalia, and phylum Chordata, but poultry are an avian class, and cattle, sheep, and swine are a mammalian class. When classifying organisms and identifying species, scientists use a binomial nomenclature, or two-word naming system. The first word used to name a species is the same as the genus that the organism belongs to, and it is called the generic name. The second name is the specific name, or specific epithet. The scientific name for a species is always in Latin, which is no longer used in conversation, so the language doesn't change over time. The first letter in the first word of a species name is always capitalized, but the first letter of the second word in the species name is lowercase. You probably know most organisms by their common names, which vary from country to country, but scientific names are universal. The scientific name for cattle of European origin is Bos taurus. Cattle belongs to the genus Bos, and taurus is Latin for bull. Brahman cattle belong to a species of South Asian origin, Bos indicus. In agriculture, beef cattle are classed for market based on sex. Heifer, cow, steer, bullock, and bull are the sex classes that help to separate slaughter cattle into similar carcass weights and tenderness groups. Steers, bullocks, and bulls are males. Steers have been castrated, and bullocks and bulls haven't been castrated. Cows and heifers are both females. Cows have given birth, and heifers haven't. The USDA further classifies slaughter cattle by quality and yield grades. Quality grades from prime to canner are based on maturity of the carcass and amount of marbling. Yield grades from 1 to 5 are based on amounts of fat, lean, and bone in the carcass and indicate the final yield of closely trimmed retail cuts. Processing technologists consider all these factors when defining overall carcass merit. Let's take a look at a diagram of the major parts of beef cattle. Beef cattle are animals that are raised for their meat, so producers want to gauge, or measure, their potential for meat production. Genetics, size, and shape of the animal all play a part in determining if an animal will be a good beef animal. Here, food technologists record data for beef tenderness. The scientific name for swine is Sus domesticus. Swine therefore belong to the genus Sus, and domesticus in Latin means domestic. Swine are classed for market according to these sex classes. Barrows are males castrated before puberty. Boars are older breeding males. Sows are older breeding females. And gilts are younger females that haven't mated. USDA grades for barrow and gilt carcasses are based on two standards: quality characteristics of the lean measured at a cut of muscle usually exposed between the 10th and 11th ribs, and the expected combined yield of lean cuts from ham, loin, blade shoulder, and picnic shoulder. Here, a team of animal scientists and geneticists use MRI imaging to look at the fat-to-lean ratio of a particular swine breeding line. The scientific name for chickens is Gallus domesticus. Turkeys, Meleagris gallipava, are from the same order as chickens, but they classified in a different family. USDA market classes for poultry meat are based on bird age and carcass quality. The meat from younger birds is more tender, and carcasses with thicker meat that are free from trim losses, processing damage, or disfiguring factors are considered of higher quality. Agricultural engineers design systems to improve these processing facilities. In the grocery store, a label with poultry class and grade should be visible to the consumer. And now, let's explore the core. How is payment calculated for a slaughter heifer based on its live weight? Carcass pricing is a complex process affected by many factors. One factor that affects pricing variability is the dressing percentage. The dressing percentage comes from the ratio of an animal's warm carcass weight to its live weight at delivery. It's important to remember that dressing percentages usually fall around 50%, 60%, and 70% for sheep, cattle, and swine. Let's say a heifer is brought to the packing plant weighing 1,200 pounds. This is its shrunk live weight, shrunk because it's weighed after being transported. The hide, head, feet, and gut are removed, and the warm carcass weighs in at 728 pounds. They calculate the dressing percentage by dividing the warm carcass weight by the shrunk live weight and multiplying it by 100. If the warm carcass price per pound for a yield grade 1 heifer is $1.45, then the value of the carcass, or the total value per head, is $1,055.60. Cattle are marketed at a live price per hundredweight. A U.S. hundredweight is 100 pounds and is represented by CWT. If the live weight is 1,200 pounds, then the number of hundredweights is 12. So the live price per hundredweight is the total value per head divided by the hundredweight, which amounts to $87.97 per hundredweight. Today's SAT word is gauge. When used as a noun, a gauge is an instrument used for measuring. The verb to gauge means to measure. In the lesson, we learned that animal producers need standards that help them gauge or measure potential meat production in their livestock.